So hold on, that means we're on the next Amud already?
Sorry, that was
no parrots.
All right, we ready to roll? Okay. Akiva's on. Akiva's not on. Anyways, so Akiva was asking yesterday about when you Isaac the mitzvah, potter and a mitzvah, does that mean that when you're wearing tzitzis, you potter and everything? So we discussed this. So Taisus Taka comes out that Isaac the mitzvah is only potter and a mitzvah when you can't do both. Right? But if you could do both, then you're mechuyev to do both. Right? So I don't know what that says for multitasking.
Well, do you have to give tzedakah during davening?
Well, that's a different thing. I don't think you could do both. To be honest with you,
because I'm saying you're going to not have kavanah while you're giving the tzedakah.
Correct. So, right. So then that's not doing both. That's
so everybody who gives to the pushka walks around in the middle of davening. Is that the wrong thing to be doing?
I would think so, but maybe either they maybe have given up on concentration, or maybe they have just a high level of concentration. Right. I just read a Maisa yesterday about one of the Rosh Yeshivas and Mashkichim that was on vacation in one of the, where all the yeshivas go in Eretz Yisrael a long time ago. And he saw that they daven much faster. So he says he doesn't understand why they're davening faster bein hazmanim. When you daven faster, it takes that much more energy to concentrate. Why don't we daven slow so I don't have to use up so much energy to concentrate? Right? He spun it on its head. You think like daven fast? That's what he was saying. So I don't know. Either way, but that's what Taisus says. Okay, so let's go because we have a lot. There's a lot to do. So Tana Rabbanan. So we're in the middle of handling the chasen and the people. There's a Tana Rabbanan. Chasen b'shashvinin. So chasen and all 2 lines up from the bottom on chaf heyam base. So chasen b'shashvinin. A chassan and the people that are taking care of him, and everybody that's from the chuppah. Again, chuppah means settling him into his house. Peturim and atfila, they're potter from davening. From Tefilin and from Tefilin. The chayav and bekriyashman, the chayav and kriyashman. This itself is a fascinating thing. Why they potter from Tefillah and chayav and kriyashman? So, like we just said, Peturim and Tefillah, Rashi says you need kavanah to daven. Davening is. It's a very interesting thing. Kriya Shema is a deraisa. Tefillah, according to most, is a derabbanan. But Tefillah is more chomer here because Tefillah, you're talking to Hashem. You have to concentrate. You can't, when you're talking to Hashem, you can't not concentrate. Kriya Shema, you're not talking to Hashem. You're reading Shema. It's a reminder that we have to keep all the mitzvahs and where we have to learn. Right? Rashi, he also says that Kriya. What do you say?
I think you're about to say it.
I was about to say it, yes. The Kriya Shema is only one pasuk. Shemona says a lot longer. Yeah, what are you saying?
Rabbanan Shalom is a lot easier on his Jewish people than the Rabbanan are. That's all.
I hear that. Okay, fair point. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, and then we're on talking about Aleph Mishum. Rabbi Shila, Rabbi Shila would say chasen potter, a chasen is potter, but sheshvinin v'chabnei chuppah chayav. He disagrees. The chasen's potter, the sheshvinin are chayiv, which is what we pass. Tanya Amar Rab Chanani ben Akavia, if anybody recognizes him, right from the between Mincha Ma'ariv fame, yeah. So Koisves, 1 second. So before we go weiter. The Maisa nowadays, a chasen is chayiv in Kriya Shema, which will really play into tomorrow's daf. And the reason why a chasen is chayiv in Kriya Shema, because if he doesn't, he's chayiv in Kriya Shema Ma'ariv, the whole deal. Because if he doesn't, then it looks like a Baal Keri that he actually concentrates when we know that nobody nowadays concentrates. Right? So by him not davening, that shows that he actually concentrates in other times, and that's just gaiva, because most people don't. Yeah? Fine. Tanya Amar Rav Chanani ben Akavi. Koisve Svarim, Tefilin u'mezuzas, those that write Svarim, Tefilin u'mezuzas, Hein v'tagreyen, them and the salesmen, the tagreyen, and those that do the sales from the salesmen, v'chala oiskin b'melacha, b'melacha shemayim, And anybody who's Isaac in Melecha Shemaim Lasuye Ma'ichrei Tcheles, those that sell Tcheles, Baturim Mikriya Shema, they put them in Kriya Shema, Uminat Tefillah, Uminat Tefilin, Umikol Mitzvahs Amuras B'Torah. They're potter from everything. L'kayim, to be Makayim, Divrei Rabbi Yossi HaGalili, right? Shahai Rabbi Yossi HaGalili, Aimer HaIsaac B'Mitzvah, potter min a mitzvah. One who's Isaac B'Mitzvah is potter min a mitzvah. So all these things you're being Isaac in a mitzvah, so therefore you potter. Now there's a lot here. First of all, what L'kayim? L'kayim sounds like you be. I know Gershon, I beat you on that one. Yeah. L'kayim sounds like to be Mekayim. The words of what is Rabbi Yossi HaGalili the Rabbi Shalom, right? Rabbi, like you just said, Hashem's easier on to be Mekayim, Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. So it can't mean to be Mekayim. It just must mean that it proves or something like that. It proves Rabbi Yossi HaGalili. That's one. Another one is, why is it singling out Tcheles? Right? And the more important thing is, are these guys doing this for profit? These people that are selling Svarim, Tefilin, and Mezuzahs, are they making money on this? Yet they're still potter? Right?
Wait, it's Havtaka from Chazal that they won't be wealthy.
Remember that? Yeah. That still doesn't make a difference.
Wait, they're doing a mitzvah. It's a Chafetz Chaim and Chesed, no?
They might not be wealthy.
Someone who has a store.
They might not be wealthy, but they still need a parnasa.
Now you're getting into big politics because a seller now charges insurance.
Correct. I hear what you're saying, Baritz. I hear that. That was a big hawk, right?
Why does that impact on it being a mitzvah?
Oh, 1 second. It's not so pashut at all. It's really not pashut at all. What's going on? Are these guys doing it for free or they're doing it for money? So Rashi says, I don't know what to make out of that Rashi. Is Rashi saying that they're doing it to sell it?
What's wrong if they're going to make money?
Nothing wrong, but how can you call that somebody who's Isaac for mitzvah, potter min a mitzvah?
Why, a guy can't be Isaac for mitzvah and he got paid for it?
To me, it sounds like he's doing it for the mitzvah, he's doing it for the money.
A dayan who gets paid. So he's not being Isaac? I don't understand.
Zev, Yeshakayach, I appreciate you asking that question because I was just jumping rope about a half hour ago and I was listening to a shir from Yisrael Reisman and he was doing Hilchos Talmud Torah and he quoted the Piskei Tshuva, quoting the Binyan Tzion, that he's mesupik, or maybe he says not. If you take money to learn, that is not considered, I don't know what he says, not limud Torah. I didn't have a chance to look it up.
So Rabbi says
it's not considered
Torah.
What
does that mean?
It's a mitzvah b'avera.
He doesn't say mitzvah b'avera. No, he's not going down that road. He's not going down.
Wait, schar b'tolma. If a Rebbe takes money for tutoring.
He wasn't going down that road. He was not going down that road. He wasn't going down that road of why you're allowed to take money to be a Rebbe or Maggid Shir. That's not what he was talking about. He was talking about that it's not Torah L'Shma. You're making money. It's not, you're doing it to make money. You're not doing it to learn. It's not Torah L'Shma.
You're doing it to feed you're doing it for schar b'tol, to feed your family. Parnas is not a mitzvah.
That's very nice, but the schar b'tol.
So everything's a mitzvah. No, so everything's a mitzvah.
Maybe it is.
Happens to be.
Everything's a mitzvah. So what are you running around looking for shluch hakan like a Michiganer? Just put on your pants and you did a mitzvah. What are you doing?
Happens to be Mishna Brura says that earning a living is you're right, Takada. You're not sneeze. Maybe even shvimkleid. You potter from everything. That's what the people do on vacation, right? That's what we were discussing. Put on the shvimkleid. Your matas komine davaros, right? So we're digressing here.
Call her Isaac.
Yes.
But Malach is Isaac. It doesn't say he's Isaac in Malach Shemayim. It doesn't say paid, not paid. He's Isaac in it.
I know. So that's what Rashi says. K'dei limkor ulahamtzian l'tzarich lehem, to sell it and to give it to get it to people that need it. So the first part of Rashi sounds like he's selling it. The second part sounds like he's doing it as a chesed to have people. People need tefillin and mezuzahs. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's a tumult. It's a hak in the.
Yeah, well, what do doctors, let's say an OB, do? They go to deliver a baby on a Jewish kid on Shabbos in the hospital. the hospital is going to send them a check. What they have a problem with that?
Elio,
that's he's not worse than a waiter or a rabbi, the OB guy.
Right, he's gonna charge for everything else. But I one up you. Do you know that a doctor is not allowed to take money to heal either? It's a shulchan aruch.
Yeah, yes, we learned that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I mean. Now I will tell you. Once you brought it up, I have to tell you a fascinating psak that happened last week. A guy tells me, he tutors and he charges $100 an hour. Okay. Other parents decided that they want to let their kids learn with him too. So he's charging them $100 an hour too. So he's making a few $100s an hour. He told the parents, and the parents don't. They got money. They got money flowing like water. So they don't care. So they're paying. He's making a few $100s an hour. So he realizes that that's a lot of money to be making. You're not really supposed to be making money from Yiddishkeit. He says, is this right or is this wrong? I said, I have no idea. Go to Rav Dava Cohn. So it's up here in camp. He drove to Rav Dava Cohn. Rav Dava Cohn told him, you are so wrong and you give back every penny. That's what he told him. I don't
understand. What was he?
One second. From all the parents, or just
no?
The
he says
he was charging $100 an hour from 5 parents.
He says
each one $100.
He says
the same hour.
100. Right. He says $100 an hour you could take, not the 400, 500, whatever it is, that 300, whatever extra he's getting. No, you'd be doing it for 100. Take more than that. He's making money off of Torah. He was stark on him. He told me you got to give every penny back. I was like, woo, I didn't expect that answer, right? Whatever. Anyways, fine. Okay, so Tana Rabbanim, yeah? Let's see right. So that's the first tumult of tonight's stuff. Tana Rabbanim.
How does it come out of Maskana? I'm saying,
he just told you Rav David Cohn said.
That's what he said. That's what he said. What should I tell you?
No, is a dying allowed to take money?
Is a dayan allowed to take money? He's allowed to take money, really only schar batola, unless he needs it, and he won't do the dayanos unless he can support his family.
Reb Zev, basically, David Cohen said, if you have a classroom for one kid, you're not allowed to charge tuition for all the other kids.
If we keep on going at this rate, I'm saying Zevi's going to have to start sending Dache parents checks back. And I didn't say a word. Eretz, that was all you.
Debbie, I'm not saying one word, I promise you.
No, listen, no. The heter's shot is that's all assuming you can find a Rebbe. Meaning the difference is this guy was making the money anyways. Meaning, but a Rebbe, you want to give him schar batola, so pay him like he's pumping gas. Fine, but you're not going to get a Rebbe. You're not going to find anybody. So therefore, there's a heter. The Rebbe said, I'll be a Rebbe, but you got to help me feed my kids. Right? Okay. So anyway, so Tana Rabbanim. Yeah, if you're traveling during the day, you're potter from sukkah during the day. But at night, when you go to rest in your hotel, you need to sit in the sukkah because you're not traveling, right? And Taisus points out that it's talking about if you rest at night. But if you're traveling at night, then you still potter even at night. Yeah. If you're traveling at night, you're part of sukkah at night. If you're going during the day and at night, and if you go to Dvar Mitzvah, then even though you're only traveling during the day, you're still potter even at night. And that's because you're still stressed out about doing the mitzvah. So we get it. So if you stam haughty drachim, you're potter, right? But only when you're traveling. When you're not traveling, not. Now on this, based on a Rashi, yes, I want to say something.
No, you say, please.
There's a major machlokes, Ramoshe Feinstein and Rabbi Yashiv, based on a Rashi here. That's very interesting. The reason why it's interesting is because in most areas in Eretz Yisrael, they're more machmer than America in halacha. And for this, we're actually more machmer in America than they are in Eretz Yisrael. Which is, so Rashi says, what does it go? Where is it? So Rashi says, the Rashi in the first 10 lines says, Why are you traveling on Sukkot? So Rashi says you're traveling b'schayra. You're traveling for work, right? Ramosha says, mashma from that if you're going on a Cholamoya trip for vacation, it's optional. You're not potter from Sukkah. You're only potter from Sukkah if your travel was necessary for work or for whatever it is. Obviously, you're not allowed to work on Yom Tov, but Cholamoyed, you had to head to work, whatever it is. That's where you potter.
So if you go into work on Cholamoyed, you don't have to eat it. You potter from Sukkah?
100%. Me'ikar adin, 100%. Yes. Right? Rabbi Yashiv says, no, it's lav dafka. It just means anytime you travel. So that's why the Hanhag in Eretz Yisrael was supposedly that when the people traveled to Cholamoyed trips, they didn't need to eat in a sukkah. And Ramosha held, no, you have to eat in a sukkah. I think nowadays that there are sukkahs so easily put up and all that, I think it's not negay anymore, this machlokes. And in the old days, in America, they were machlokas. What are you saying?
You got the Chabad guys going to all the
Chabad, bails us out of this whole machlokes. You're right. But
that's what you joined the Daf for, to say that?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what's the heter? So the Tosfos says, Tosfos Holchei Drachim B'Yom, third Tosfos down. It's an important Tosfos to do. Is Kol Zeh Nafka. How do you know? Where does it say anything about people traveling a potter from a sukkah? So Tosfos says, and we're going to see this at the end of the Gemara. Kol Zeh Nafka Me Teishu Ke'ein Taduru. You're supposed to live in the sukkah the way you would normally live. When a person is living at home, so he doesn't stop from going outside. You would never, you leave your house to travel, right? So you leave your sukkah to travel, right? Same thing, if you're in pain, if there's something wrong with your house, if you have wasps or if it's freezing, the heat goes off in your house. So what do? You find someplace else to live, right? So all these things are based on Teishu Ke'ein Taduru, right? So that's fine.
Aaron, we see you shaking your head.
Yeah, well, no, first of all, so what you're saying, no, what Rabbi Yaakov said to you before, the guy normally eats breakfast on the railroad, so he could eat breakfast on sukkahs on the railroad too, if he's going.
100%.
But what Tashud came to do, or when do you say it? How is a 28-inch by 20-inch by 40-inch high a dira? If his wife told him to go sleep in the closet, he would go out of the house and sleep someplace else. Who sleeps in such a place?
Yeah. You're right. Maybe Taka. Let's say Taka. You have a very small sukkah, and you can't sit in there like normal. Maybe you're Taka Pata because.
But that's a kosher sukkah.
Right.
I'm not comfortable in it. It's a kosher sukkah.
You would. Yeah, but you wouldn't
mitzvah in such a sukkah.
You got to make a sukkah that you're comfortable in, maybe.
It doesn't say that, though.
No, that's yeah.
I know, but I'm saying, so you want to be comfortable, so you make a sukkah that you're comfortable. You're not going to move into a house of 2x4.
So how could it be?
You get away with it. Just because you can get away with it, don't mean you're going to live there.
How could it be a kosher sukkah? Who is going to use such a sukkah?
There are people that do it, obviously.
Who?
I don't have a list.
Okay, so there's another thing. Go ahead, Elio.
No. I was going to say something ridiculous, so ignore me.
Okay. So if you look at the Rashi Kein Taduru, since we're on the subject, it's a few Rashis down. It's about 10 lines, 10, 12 lines down. So it's a very interesting Rashi.
One second. You look at some of those bungalows, Aaron. People move into that for 2 months.
What are you hacking a cup? Please, stop hacking a cup. Go ride a bicycle. What are you hacking a cup? What is comparing 28 inches to a dumb bungalow?
You ever seen some of them?
No, I never saw a bungalow. Maybe you'll give me a tour. I never saw a bungalow.
Anyways,
Friday afternoon.
Look at the you have to see the Rashi Kein Taduru. Look at Rashi Kein Taduru, right? Kiderach shu dar kol hashana bebeisai. You have to live in the sukkah the way you live in your house the whole year. Hiskikosai Torah. The Torah requires you to leave your dira, to live in a sukkah, with your beds, not your rollaway beds and your blow up mattresses, your mitoisav, uklei tashmisha, and the stuff that you normally use, and your pillows, and if it's not, for whatever reason, you can't bring it there, then it's a tircha. This always bothered me. I'm a lazy guy. When I'm finished with the Suda, first night Yom Tov, second night Yom Tov, I got to fold up the chairs. I got to fold up the table. I got to go upstairs, schlep down the mattresses, pillows, blankets. It's mamish. It's azash there today. I'm telling you, for a lazy guy like me, it's mamish there's the whole Yom Tov.
And then when it rains 2 hours later, you got to bring it all back in.
Correct. Exactly right. Exactly right. So to me, it there's the whole Yom Tov. So finally, last year or 2 years ago, I came across in Shulchan Aruch Harav. He says if you have to do all this, you're really a mitzvah and you're potter from sukkah. That's what it's mashma in Shulchan Aruch Harav.
Okay.
Now the only thing is, why are you not?
Well, he doesn't sleep. The Shulchan Aruch Harav doesn't sleep in the sukkah. No. So what kind of rye is that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I'm a star. Have to keep going in and out with the dishes.
What?
It doesn't stop. You keep saying you're mitzvah.
So Yaakov wanted, okay.
11.
What do you mean? You're mitzvah to live in the sukkah? Like you can't live in it. It's mashal like that in the Rashi. You can't live in the sukkah. Your sukkah's too small. You can't live in it like your norm. That's what he says.
Yeah.
So l'chari, you should be mechuyev to make a bigger sukkah, make a bedroom. Make a bedroom like this. You don't have this whole headache. The Adam's not buying it. Okay, what should I tell you?
Is Teishu Kanta Duru a chiyuv, or you have to be able to? Well, you don't have to schlep your bed down from your bedroom. You have to be able to.
But if you can't, because you don't have. But if you can't, because you don't have the room, so then that's your mitzvah.
That would be a problem with her. Yeah, but in a big sukkah, you have the ability to. You don't have to do it. You can sleep on a blow-up mattress.
I don't know. I'm saying if that's the way your sukkah happens to be. By the way, I forget what the tshuva was. Rav Havernes has a tshuva in his sefer that if you buy your in-laws and you go down to the sukkah and you think you're gonna have a nice quiet supper, and then your shver is sitting there and it stirs you mitzvah that you can go back inside and eat. He asked the shah. I think it comes out that if
you didn't know your father-in-law was gonna stare it, so then you didn't know your father-in-law.
No, you thought you were eating alone without him, and then he comes and sits himself down. Now you're mitzvah. You leave.
Is that applicable with the shtar sheni also?
Bro, Aaron, no, waiting for you to say it. I was waiting for you.
I mean, it's with all these shilas, whether you're mechuyev or not, so you're going to sit in the sukkah. But to make a leishep a sukkah, if it's a doubtful mitzvah, then you got a brachal of atala issue. So you got to tell the shver, do me a favor, be mighty leishep a sukkah. I'm not so sure I'm yaitz if you're sitting here. So that ought to make problems. Anyways,
can you tweet that before sukkahs? It'll make it a lot easier for us.
Good idea. Do me a favor. Remind me. I will. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Weiter. So ki had Rav Chisda v'Rabba Rav Huna ki hava aili b'shabsa deraglu lebereish kalusa. I didn't understand this Gemara. When they were going on the Shabbos of the Regel, they went up to the Reish Galusa to be Makabah Pnei Rabbi. So they were doing a mitzvah. Havaganu Arkasa Desura. They slept on the banks of the river over there. Amri anan shluchei mitzvah and anapaturim. We're shluchei mitzvah, so we're potter. I mean, it's one thing to go into a hotel to sleep and say you're potter, but to sleep on the riverbank, you might as well sleep in a sukkah, right? But I guess they didn't have that choice, right? Okay, fine, weiter.
Well, were they saying that they would be nikra hedyot? The bedavka didn't go to a hotel. The bedavka slept in the rough because they're potter. They would be nikra hedyot if they went into a sukkah.
Right. I hear. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Might need you.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Let's see what. Those that are watching the city during the day are potter from the sukkah during the day. And at night when they're not working, they have to sit in the sukkah. If they're shomer in the night, then they're potter from sukkah at night. Same Gemara as before, except now we're talking about shomer. Shomer meir bein b'yom vein b'layla paturin min sukkah bein b'yom bein b'layla. Shomrei ganas u'pardesim v'turim bein b'yom bein b'layla. Those that watch the gardens and pardes is pater bein b'yom bein b'layla. So Gemara says, "V'levet sukkah hasam v'leisu." Why, if they're sitting there just watching the fields, why can't they just sit in a sukkah? Build a sukkah. That's what all of the Fruma guys here would say. Right? Build a sukkah. You're sitting there anyways. So Abaya Amar Teshu Kain Taduru. Like we just said, it's Kain Taduru. That's not the normal way to live. Even if you build a little hut, that's not going to be the normal way to live. Yeah. And Rava says different shot. Pirza Kaira Laganav. Basically, if you make a pirza, when you break it's a mushal. If you break a hole in the wall, then the ganav is going to say, "Oh, look at that! There's a hole in the wall." So if they're going to see that you're already sitting in a sukkah, they say, "Ah, the shomer is not paying attention so much," and then you're not going to be able to properly do your job. Right? My bad. I will be the difference between the two tirutzim. The commenter karya the peri. My favorite job. This job, and I would love this job. If all you're watching is a pile of fruit, right? You're not watching a whole field. Yeah, I would love this job. No, you get paid to just watch a pile of fruit. So watching a pile of fruit, you can bring it into your sukkah or right in front of your sukkah. It's no big deal. But in a field, you would not have this issue. I wonder if you could sit in a glass sukkah would be enough kamina, right? Okay.
That's what they had. You would like to talk about COVID, that's what they had in Lakewood the year ago. The glass sukkah, the fiberglass sukkahs.
Right there. And Hanami, yeah. Okay, right. So people that are sick and those that are taking care of them. Doesn't mean a chayla sakana because that's for sure. Even a chayla she'ein b'sakana, even if you just have an eye ache, even if you have just a headache, you are parted from sukkah. One time I had a problem with my eyes in Kesari. Me and my shamash were able to sleep out of the sukkah just because my eyes hurt me. Yeah.
Is this a raya that Meshamshin does not mean helping him with the sickness? This was Thomas Shamash.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should use that. Naftali has to fold up the chairs for you.
Yeah, huh? I hear you. Maybe. He should come. He should come do the tables.
Just let me know what time.
Yeah.
I hear you. And here was I was thinking that they said that it's a mitzvah. They didn't sleep in the sukkah because they're going to be makal pnei rabbi. What happens if the rabbi says you don't want to tell me them there? Is it still a mitzvah? Yeah. Okay. Fine. Rav.
Also, where does this Gemara put me? Am I mitzvah or a chayla?
Probably both.
Personal questions will be discussed after.
Separated from sukkah? No, it's again to pshat. Where does it end, chayla?
Right. I hear you. I don't know. I would think both.
So if I'm part of the sukkah and I eat in the sukkah, I'm a hadiot?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. When it's somebody if the chayla has nothing to do with the heel, meaning the eye. The shechiddush of the Gemara is why if somebody's eye hurts him, why can't he sleep in the sukkah? Elamai, he's still parted from the sukkah. Right? Okay, let's see. Right. The Rav Sharul Rav Acha Bardula, Rav allowed Rav Acha Bardula Lemigna the Kilsa B'Sukkah to sleep under a awning on the sukkah mishum baki because of bugs. So since there were bugs there, so he's pater. So therefore he's allowed to sleep in the sukkah, sleep in the tent in the sukkah, which we discussed before, that if it's its own bias, so therefore it's as if he's not in the sukkah. Right? Fine. Rav Sharul.
This was like he was not in the sukkah?
Yeah.
So why didn't he just go inside?
I have no idea. I was wondering that. Right? If it's considered in the sukkah, what's the chiddush?
That he was sleeping under the canopy was like he was in the sukkah, maybe.
So enochanami. So there's a shita that holds. There is a shita that holds that he would be yaitza. sleeping in a sukkah like this. So he wanted to at least be yaitz this shita, right? Which is why when it rains and we have a shlach, we still sit in the sukkah, even though it's raining, because why not? Why not be yaitz sitting in the sukkah? At least according to one of the Rishonim. What?
Rabbeinu Tam.
Is it Rabbeinu Tam? I don't know. I think it's Rabbeinu Tam, right? Yeah.
It's more Chabad.
Oh. No, Chabad sits in the sukkah even with stam in the rain. No? Yeah.
That's
all right, fine.
The tshuva, the famous tshuva from Milchas Lazar.
Correct. Right. Rav Shara Leila Ravacha Barad Lemigna Barmetalalti. He allowed him to sleep outside the sukkah because the dirt was smelly. The ground was smelly. Yeah. So now why'd you build it there in the first place? Didn't we have this kasha? I mean, didn't we have this Gemara 2-3 blot ago, whatever it was, 10 blot ago, that if you make a dira srucha, you can't, it's not good. So if it's a dira srucha, how'd you make it there in the first place? So it has to be that you're a guest. It has to be that you're talking about a guest, and the guest has the problem. Right?
Not necessarily.
What are you saying?
Not necessarily.
What else?
It could be very well that he is more sensitive to smell, and only at the time when he's sitting in, since it's serious and around, that's when you feel it.
Right, meaning, yeah, okay.
He is in the tunnel.
Right, you hear the Olam, here's what he's saying. Right, Shmuel is saying that if you it can only affect you when you're sleeping, right? Or maybe you get a little more sensitive than at other times. Yeah, fine.
You see in the Gemara, the top of you Gimel Amud Aleph. Gemara doesn't call something a diras rucha, but it says you shouldn't do it to sari rechayu. There seems to be a sliding scale. You're allowed to build it. It's a kosher sukkah. You shouldn't do it to sari rechayu.
I hear. Okay, maybe. Okay, so let's see. Rava l'tamei, Doma Rava mitzvah pater min sukkah. Mitzvah is pater from sukkah. Oh, v'anantanan chaylen m'shemshein paturim min sukkah. Says chaylen m'shemshein a pater min sukkah. Chayle in mitzvah lo. It sounds like only a chayle. Somebody who's mitzvah is not. Amri chayle hu mishamshe paturim. A chayle, it's him and his helpers. Mitzvah hu pater mishamshe lo. But those that are mishamshim do have to, right? Which is what's a pshat, because in one of them you would leave your sukkah and one you wouldn't. Meaning a chayla and the mishamshin, would a mishamish of a chayla would leave the sukkah for that. Somebody who's mitzvah, you wouldn't necessarily go out and help the guy. Okay, so you can eat achilas arai, a temporary eating outside the sukkah. But kama achilas arai. How much is an achilas arai? Amar Rav Yosef tarti oitlas bay, 2 or 3 eggs. Right? So, yeah. So actually Rashi says that's how much you would put into your mouth. Yeah, which is a lot. Yeah. Okay, whatever it is. What the Gemara says, sometimes a person totally satisfied with these 2-3 eggs. And that's enough.
Rashi is saying Go
ahead, Rabban.
Rashi and Tosfos both use the word in French morsel. A morsel is a very small amount. They both have the word morsel. It's not 3 eggs. 3 eggs is a morsel to a football player. It's not a morsel to a normal person.
Morsel is not like a cowboy steak?
No, it's not, Aaron. Even contrary to what they say in Gourmet Glatt. No.
Looks like Rashi wasn't chayshish for the tzlach.
You want to go down that road? I hear you. Shmuel, what do you want to say?
Rashi is not saying what Aaron said. Is basically that he did not have eggs. Rashi's girsa is not bay. If you look at Rashi in the Tosfos, there is no bay in there.
Because it's not a bay. What do you mean? There's no.
Look at the Haggadah Tefilin if you have it on your Gemara. Over there, it does not mention the word bay, which means there is no beitzah.
Right. Oh, you're saying that that's not what it is? So what is it? It's
what
not
Rashi, what Rashi is saying is a morsel, which on is right.
I hear. I mean, he doesn't have the girsa bay. That's what you're saying.
That is correct.
Taisa says it clearly. Taisa says v'yesh mifarshim. V'yesh tvarm shechas v'tarti tlas bay. Then he says v'akol echad. It's the same thing.
Right. Right. Okay, let's see. So he says a different shot. Abaya has a different shot. Elomar Abaya. That's when a yeshiva guy comes running in, right? The Rebbe, the Bacher, the what do you call it? The Koil guy, whatever, comes running in, grabs a little food. You go in the coffee room, you grab a little food, and you run out. That would be a temporary thing. Fine. You're allowed to eat an achila sarai outside the sukkah, but you're not allowed to sleep, even a temporary sleeping outside the sukkah. My timer. Because if you're going to allow somebody to doze off, then he's going to end up maybe going in a deep sleep, which I think we could all understand, and therefore he is going to be and he's going to be sleeping a kavua. So it sounds like me'ikar adin. You're allowed to sleep a shinas arai outside the sukkah. So but this time we said that a person can sleep a small amount to sleep in tefillin, but not a set amount, not a deep sleep. Then why aren't we afraid that he'll fall asleep? But somewhere where he literally translated, he handed his sleep to somebody else, meaning he got a shomer. Right, so masculine mashashia, arvecha arva tzarich, arvoich arva tzarich. Your orev means a cosigner, not a cosigner, a guarantor. Needs one too. How do you know he's not going to fall asleep? Which is an issue always. Anytime you have a shomer that you should miss davening, you shouldn't miss that. Is do you need what type of shomer works? You got to make sure the guy's not going to forget. We're talking about where where somebody fell asleep by putting his head in between his knees. Rav Amar, so therefore that's an abnormal sleep. There's no way that's the way he's allowed to sleep in the tefillin. Then he's no way he's going to sleep for a long time. Rav Amar, which then maybe
how does that answer the question?
You would be able to. That's where he's being mechalik between that and sukkah.
But that he's being mechalik in Metzias, but that same Metzias work by sukkah too.
What?
Why wouldn't the same Metzias work with a sukkah too? This kind of shina should work by sukkah. The kasha was, why are we not geyser by tefillin? Eretz is talking about a different kind of sleep. Does that mean that according to Abaya, that kind of sleep you're allowed to have outside of a sukkah also?
Well, because tefillin is a different reason. Right, so Rashi really answers your kasha. Tefillin is a different reason, right? Tefillin, the problem with falling asleep is that you might pass wind, right? Or have wind or pass gas, whatever you want to call it, right? Which we'll see. So that's a little different reason than by sukkah, right? Okay, so let's see. Rava Amar ain't kevel shina. There's no such thing as kviyas for shina. Yeah. Sometimes you could sleep a little bit, sometimes you could sleep a lot. Some Mela, we're just gonna answer all sleeping. Yeah, fine. Tani Chada, Yoshan Adam betfilin, Shina Sarai. A person could sleep in tefillin, Shina Sarai, Avaloi Shina Keva, but not a long sleep. Tani Yidach, Bein Keva, Bein Arai. Whether it's Kviyas, whether it's Arai. Tani Yidach, Loi Keva, Avaloi Arai. So we have three opinions here. Temporary sleep, yes. Permanent, no. Shinas Keva. I'm sorry, no shias keva. The other one says both of them are fine, and the other one says neither one is fine. So how are we going to answer all these three? Like kasha, when you're holding the tefillin in your hand, you can't doze off because it might fall out of your hand. One is someone where you had tefillin on your head, right? So then, if you're going to go to a kfiyas dik sleep, you might end up having gas, right? But temporary not. And how the part of sudri loving and one is where everything is mutter is where you put a clothing
temporary, yeah.
What did he say?
The Mamche Bereisha, Rashi is saying that a person will not pass gas and Shinat Arai.
Correct.
And therefore, the Mamche Bereisha, that means Shinat Arai, yes, Shinat Keva, no.
Correct. What did I say? I didn't say that?
Go on.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Okay, thank you if I didn't. So, but yeah, if once the tefillin is on your head, so arai is okay because we're not afraid that you're gonna have gas, and kavua is keva is a problem because you may have gas. And the last case where they're both mutter is the hada part of sudri law where you put the clothing, the tefillin after you took them off. Meaning we had this. Where do we have this? I don't remember. Putting the tefillin under the head, next to the head. Erevin. I think it was Erevin, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, yes. Erevin. Thank you. So there. So it's interesting. Rashi says, "Loy nitna Torah lemalachei asharetz." The Torah was not given to malachim. Present company excluded, right? Because otherwise, how's he ever going to deal with his tefillin, right? Yeah. The kama shina sarai, and how much is a shina sarai? Tani Rabbi Mari Cheskel dehiluch mea amma. It's like going 100 amas. The amount of time it takes to walk 100 amas.
A person could reach a level higher than the malachim. So what kind of teretz is that?
Now you're already getting into machshava. Right? Fine. Tani nami yasher betfilin v'roya keri. Somebody who has an emission from the aver by sleeping in his tefillin, so what's he going to do when he wants to take off the tefillin? Hold on to the tefillin with the ritzuas from the straps. And do not hold on to the actual tefillin itself. Why? Because the tefillin itself has kedusha, because you have the shin on it. So because there's a shin on it, it has kedusha, and the straps are tashmisha kedusha. The straps are only there for the tefillin, which is why when you have a tefillin bag, right? Really, the tefillin bag, can you throw it out or do you need to put it in shemus? So really, it's most people put their tefillin in boxes and then the boxes go in the bag. So why can't you throw out the bag? And the ritzuas are tashmisha kedusha, not actual kedusha. So really, you could throw out the bag. The only problem is the kesher, right? The kesher of the tefillin, the yud has kedusha, and that's open in the bag. So therefore, you cannot throw out the tefillin bags. But the strap.
Rabbi, if I may stop you for a second, and this is really halacha lemaaseh. Since you started, fact of the matter is that we do pass gas. You know what you're about, and you're not going to be able to take off the tefillin. Now tell me what you do in case you have to do. There's obviously a difference between tefillin shel rosh and tefillin shel yad. Tefillin shel rosh has the shin on it, which has the bayit itself, has a certain level of kedusha. And the tefillin shel yad usually is covered by protection. But even without the protection, that box is not as kodesh as the top. What do you do, halacha l'maaseh? That's why I'm here. I'm being
halacha l'maaseh, you should take off the halacha l'maaseh, you should take off the tefillin.
Isn't that enough to pick up the?
So that's what the place can say. Yeah,
that I'm not able to do. That I'm not able to. That again, if I'm able to do, that's the preferred one. The question is when you come and you realize and you're not going to be able to take them off. So you're going to just the question is, can I lift off just the tefillin shel rosh?
Yes. It's better than nothing, right?
Thank you. That's why I'm here.
What is the case? What happened?
You have to pass gas, and you can't. It happens, but you don't have time. You don't have enough time to take off your tefillin because So is it enough just to lift the rosh?
Gotcha. Okay.
I thought you're supposed to stick your hand underneath your tefillin, so there's like some sort of a mechitza.
Why don't you put your hat on? Why don't you put your hat on top of the tefillin? Shouldn't you always
underneath, so it separates the tefillin from your head.
A hand is not the mechitza.
If you're Hasidish, it works as a hat.
Gotcha.
Right.
I'm a
Anyways,
Talmud
that's
of your father.
Yeah. Right. So there you go. Okay, so that's what you have to do, but you should really try not to. Saying that people get
And
so
that
carried
goes
away.
without saying. If you know, then you should not even
I'm saying,
put
but
them off.
I'm saying, Reb Shmuel, what happens is people think, oh, I got to daven, I got to run and daven now. If a person's having guests and he's having guests, he shouldn't daven. He shouldn't daven.
That is true. That I'm the whole mekabel. But again, the fact of the matter is that we do, and it happens even though you did all the achonas. Contrary to your brother, I'm not the Tosher Rebbe that does achonas all day and then daven shachris in the middle of the night.
Right, enochanami. Okay, so let's see weiter.
Mamish, I can't believe that you said that you told people now you're not the Tosher Rebbe. That's very hard to accept.
Arna, that's not my share, so I keep quiet.
Okay, fine.
But I owe
It'll
you
be
one.
on. You don't do Zoom in the morning. If anybody wants to see the rebuttal to that one, come tune in at 5.
We do Zoom in the morning.
We do WebEx.
I thought you're on a different platform.
It's a WebEx. We do a WebEx. You can
it's
join.
WebEx. I know. I'm saying I know, but you're not on Zoom, so you got to give out the address if anybody wants to. If anybody wants to see that fight, 5 a.m. Cedar Lawn Avenue or on WebEx. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much, Rabbi, for clarifying.
Thank you.
Issue.
Thank you. Yoshin Adam Tefilin Shinas Arai. Chum say you're allowed to sleep in Tefilin Shinas Arai. Have a loy Shinas Keva, not a permanent sleep. The Kama Shinas Arai Kedei Hiluch Mea Amma. How much is the Shinas Arai? Enough to walk 100 Amma. Right. Now this next one, I was wondering why he was on. Okay, I'm all right. Yeah.
He left. He told me to ask it this morning.
I'm saying.
And then he just texted.
He doesn't trust me and Shmuel David. He told us this morning to find that out.
And he asked me for the password of the login for like 20 minutes ago. And he just wrote thank you to me.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so Omar Rav, this was the subject of yesterday's text, whatever, ruffles some feathers with this one. Also, Ladam Lishan B'yayim, it's also for a person to sleep during the day. Yaisim Mashinas Asus, more than sleeping of a horse. The Kamashinas Asus, how much is the sleeping of a horse? Shisin Nishmi, 60 breaths, which basically the place can say, most places can say it's about a half hour, a little bit more than a half hour.
Didn't we have something like that in Brachas with David Amal?
Yes, very good enough, Toli. Next Gemara. But there is a sheet that says 3 hours, so that's a bailout right there.
So your 3 hour Shabbos nap is allowed?
Oh, so Shabbos, the Meiri says Shabbos is allowed. Meiri says Shabbos a mitzvah, Shabbos is allowed.
More than 3 hours.
What do you say?
More than 3 hours.
No, you break
not
it up.
The shalom bias here.
Michael, you break it up. You have 3 hours with 2:55. Then you have a tea and some fruit, and you go back.
That's in the winter months.
Yeah.
That's
in
the winter months.
But Shabbos is allowed.
It's a joke.
Meiri says Shabbos is allowed. Fine. Omar Abaya, Shnasei Demar Kidarav, the sleeping of Mar was like Rav sleeping, but the Rav Kid Rav was like Rebbe, with the Rebbe Kid the David, and Rebbe's was like David, with the David Kid the Susya, David's like a horse, with the Susya Shisin Nishmi, a horse is 60 breaths. Abaya,
was there a nap convention that everybody discussed their naps?
It's weird, right? I don't know.
I'm saying, how does everybody know what everyone else napped?
Because it said
during the day. How much they slept at night.
Habits of the Gedolim. The comment said habits of the Gedolim. They had it.
This is how much they slept at night,
maybe they
not how much
probably
they
had
napped during the day.
Why do you say that? We're talking about a daytime nap.
No, it's saying no. It's the day. It's the day. No?
We're talking about a daytime nap.
Also.
David was his night sleep. That's how much he slept at night.
Are you talking about the previous Gemara?
But what you said about
day.
For health, it's smoother. Like the Goyen slept 4 times a half hour. So obviously some of them were during the day.
Yeah, right. And right. So it's for health, it's fine. Right. There's no one during the day, guys. Rashi says beferish. Right? Anyway, so Abaya have a nayim kidamayel mipubadisel lebekuchi. Abaye used to sleep from the amount of time it would take to go from Pumpadisa to Beit Kubi. Kari Ale Rabbi Yosef, and Rabbi Yosef called on Abaye, Masai Otzal Tishka, Masai Taka Mishinase. Until how long is the lazy person going to sleep? Until when is he getting up from his sleep? So clearly, Rabbi Yosef, Abaye was the Talmud of Rabbi Yosef, clearly he was not very happy. He was not very happy with him. Yeah, so somebody's going to sleep during the day. If you want, you could take off your tefillin. If you want, you could leave your tefillin on. But at night, you have to take it off. And you didn't put it down. That's what Rav Nasan also. Children, which Rashi says is bachrim, they have to always take them off and not put them on, even during the day. Because they're ruggle and tumah. We're afraid that the bachrim are going to see tumas Keri. That's what the Gemara thinks in the Havamina. So it says, Lema kasav Rabbi Yossi Baal Keri also laniach tefillin. So what are you saying? That a Baal Keri is not allowed to put on tefillin, meaning he needs to go to mikvah, right? It's real. So that's what Gemara's kasha. So Rabbi no, but Yuladim finishes saying minus. We're talking about Yuladim bachrim, young kids who are, I guess, youngly married. We're afraid that since they're young, they're going to end up being intimate with their wives with their tefillin on. Whatever, go figure what that means.
Yeah, hard to imagine that.
Yes. Like I said, we are a lot frumer than they were in the previous generation.
Well, this guy Breland, the supposed what do you call it, Breslova. So that's he made it into the Gemara with this.
I hear. But that's what it is. Yeah, it's a Torah. Let's say a guy forgot and he had relations with the tefillin. Now he's got to take off the tefillin. He shouldn't hold on not to the ritzu, not on the tefillin till he washes his hands. And then take them off, because the yadayim are obviously, when there's intimacy, so the hands are touching things that are dirty, and therefore it's a problem. So that's how you do it. Okay,
the negavasser cup next to the bed comes in handy.
You finished?
Yeah, that's a negavasser. That would be a negavasser cup. Yeah,
saying it comes in handy, dual purpose.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What are you saying about
the sleeping? I wanted to. Our friend Heshi Markowitz, Oliver Shalom, when we were first bachrim in the yeshiva, so we go back to Brooklyn by the A train. The Grand Avenue is the stop before Euclid Avenue, where you switch or you get off or whatever. Heshi Oliver Shalom would fall asleep on Grand Avenue for those 2 minutes till Euclid would be snoring like he's in a bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd have to shake him awake. It was unbelievable.
Didn't we know somebody? Well, wasn't one of that chevra also that used to fall asleep on the subway and end up going back and forth on the line half the night?
There was
dates. But that's what I'm hearing. I don't know what.
He's still my friend, so I'm not saying. Yeah,
right. So I guess they proved this Gemara. Anyways, okay, we'll stop here. All right.
Okay, good.
Fine, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, Tag is on.
Shkoyach, good night.
Shkoyach.
Why? Yeah, same kind of shift.